Power Rangers, Lightspeed rescue. The signal is calling, our planet is falling. The dangers will test you, better make it Lightspeed rescue. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, but yes, Power Rangers, Lightspeed rescue. We're on to the next Power Rangers season. Yes. After the success of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, then okay, we're gonna do more. Obviously, it was a hit for Fox Kids. So they were gonna keep going. It never ended for 30 years. 31 technically, but yeah. And yes, technically, the show you knew as Power Rangers is done. They're wokeifying it now, so now you can hate it, but it's not the same show. So you can love the original show, and you can shit all over this new one that they're going to ruin with wokeification. Anyway, this was the first official solo season without any connection to the others other than the crossover episode. It existed in the same world, of course, but other than that, because the last season had Bulk and Phenomenus for the cup of coffee, but they still had that connection. Whereas here, it's set in a new place. Well, that one was set in space, but this one is set in back on Earth in Mariner Bay. Yes, had a brand new team of Power Rangers. This was my brother's first season. He was 2 when this came out. And so this was the first season he kind of got into. We had rented there's a VHS tape from Hollywood Video, I think it was, that my grandma did the transfer thing with. And it was I think it was the Snake arc. It had to do with the Titanium Ranger, we won't spoil who it is, and the feathers that explode, and I think the Cobra arc was in there. Because I think that tape ended with the rise of Olympius. What is that? We'll get to it. But, if I remember correctly, that's how that tape ended. They would put, like, a chunk of episodes in an arc. I once rented a VHS of Power Rangers in Space that had the Psycho Ranger arc in it. Pretty good arc. But, yeah, they would do that with some of them. And then the DVD releases did, like, weird, when they did the volumes, I don't know. But the VHS put specific arcs in there. They also had the first 3 episodes were on it, and the last 3 episodes had a VHS. I rented the last 3 episodes of Space was on a VHS tape. So, yeah. Anyway, many, many moons ago, there were demons that ruled the earth. And they were put in a sacred chest. In the middle of the desert, some leftovers from the mummy find it and open it, and now demons are out. This alerts the secret base underneath Mariner Bay and Captain Mitchell, who sends forth his people and his daughter to recruit those that he specially selected. I want to repeat that. Recruit those that he specially selected. Now, for the most part, I can see where he's coming from. He selected 5 individuals. Carter Grayson. I need to look. Chad Lee. Joe Rollins. Kelsey Winslow. And his own daughter, Dana Mitchell. 4 out of 5 of these make sense. 1 does not. Let me explain. Carter is a firefighter. So his skills of running into places, saving people, that works. Him being a firefighter is, that works. Chad is a diver. And so his ability to swim underneath water, he can save people, he can help out, whatever he needs. Joe is a pilot. So he can fly any kind of aircraft to where they need to. And Dana is a paramedic. So she can help with injuries and all that. Kelsey, on the other hand, can climb rocks and go roller skating. Yeah, nearest I could think of is that maybe she can climb to places they need to get to that no one else can get to. That's all I can think of. I don't know. It's like they ran out of ideas. Oh yeah, we'll be good. A scuba diver, yeah, firefighter, a pilot, a paramedic, What about the 5th one? How about someone who can climb rocks? Can she also roller skate? Sure, deal. I don't know. I never got Kelsey, but it works. I also want to point out that Carter is another great Red Ranger. He's one of those that's headstrong and is willing to fight for what it is. Leo was the underdog and fighting against the wind. He's with the wind, though he has a little bit of issues at first. He goes for it. The others are also good. Keith, Joel. I'm thinking of Voltron now. Keith, his actor's name is Keith. Joel is the sarcastic comedy person. And he has one of my favorite lines. They're ready to go, and he's like, hey, we want you to hear it out. So they tell him what happens, and he gets up and he goes, I heard you out. I think you're nuts. I'm out. But then Carter's like, wait, I remember seeing a monster when I was in a fire. So he believes him. I do also want to point out that this is in the same universe as the other Power Rangers. So if you tell them, hey, we need you to be Power Rangers and fight monsters, they should just be, okay. But that's far from the last time that it's going to be an issue. But we also have our villains here, which I will get to. We have Diabolico, who is my favorite of these villains. He's big, he's got wings. He's like Goldar if Goldar knew what he was doing. He's big, he's bad, he'll body slam your dad, Mason Rook. No, I'm kidding. He'll probably eviscerate your dad, really. Anyway, but yeah, and then there's Impus, who's not important until later, but he's a little baby. He's Queen Banshira's son. Queen Banshira is the overlord of this, the big queen, the big bad. And there's Loki, or I thought it was Loki back in the day, but I guess that's copyrighted by Marvel and, Norse mythology. So Loki, and he's the short, fat one. He's not fat, but he's short and stout with horns. I don't think he has wings. I keep thinking he has wings, but he doesn't. And then there's Jinxer, who I thought was Loki for the longest time, but Jinxer's basically Finster. He's the one that sends out the monsters with the weird cards. And he uses the cards to make them grow. So, yeah. And then there's Vipra. And that's unfortunate. Well, 4 out of 5 ain't bad. 4, 1. Impus does get better when he becomes Olympius. So yeah, 4 out of 5 ain't bad. But, oh good God. She reminds me of Sindel from Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Too bad you will die. Yeah, she can't act. And every time she's on screen, it's just like, oh, can we please? I mean, back in the Mighty Morphin days, there was an excuse for the bad voice acting. It was voice acting, and you were overdubbing Japanese characters. This was just no. There was one more story element that the reason that Carter wanted to become a firefighter is because when he was a kid, he was in a fire and he was saved by a firefighter, and he thought the firefighter was so brave, he wanted to be like that. And as small of a plot point that is, it does come back eventually. But yeah, and for the most part, I do like the Zords. They're vehicles again, but for this kind of team, I think it works. Obviously, they're very centric to what their needs, I guess. Kyers. I think I fused. I don't know what I was doing. Carter's is like essentially a fire truck. Essentially. Joel's is like a plane type vehicle. Chad's is a. I don't think it's an undersea vehicle. It could be a submarine. I don't know. And the others are just. I think Dana's is an ambulance, and I have no idea what Kelsey's is. There's also Miss Fairweather, who from minute one, you know that Joel has a thing for. He's trying to get her flowers, though he ruins it at first because he doesn't realize she's the one that creates all the Zords and badmouths whoever it is, and then realizes it's her, and an open mouth insert foot type situation. But yeah. And throughout this, they go through different, ways to learn how to do stuff. They're pretty much a team right away. And I do want to point out this is one of the seasons where they just know how to morph. Then they go out there and they fight, and they get the busty a little bit. It's like, hey, use the morphers. Okay, Lightspeed, rescue. And it's like, but who's told you that that's what it is? And, at least Down Thunder had him say, hey, you got to say Down Thunder power up. The ha was added afterwards, but yeah. They also get motorcycles, which are pretty cool looking. But I think only the guys get them though. There's also an episode with the Cyborg Rangers, it's a stupid episode. I never cared for it. It's like, oh, we don't need humans. We need these robots can do it. But it's the human quality is why they were picked. It's their qualities as human, what they did, what they brought to the table, not just so they could fight. So I don't understand. So then we get some backstory for Dana and Captain Mitchell. He had a son who died tragically when he was younger. This comes at a time. This information is given to us as they're celebrating his birthday, as they are testing out the experimental titanium morpher. We're trying to point out they can't get to work, but then later someone breaks in. Someone breaks in and steals it, and we have an evil titanium ranger. First evil ranger since Power Rangers. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, by the way, since the Green Rangers. We finally have an evil ranger type situation. You could say, I don't count Mighty Defender as a ranger or evil. He was just there for justice. So, yeah. The Rangers then get a new weapon called the V-Lancers, which are just these weird things where they point them up and then they point them back down with the laser light. It was always weird. I'm like, what? You have to... I don't know. And they almost destroy him until Captain Mitchell sees his eyes. And I always saw this revealed. Well, we had him. I told you not to destroy him because he's my son. And before we get to more of this, I want to point out that the Titanium Ranger is also another first. It's the first original Ranger. That's right. It's the first ever American original Ranger. And with that, they come up with reasons to why they can't shoot certain things. Because, you have to shoot new footage, which costs money. So after the initial story is done, and they do the story with the Cobra, they have him find a group of rebels where he kind of just disappears for a certain amount of time because they money, right? Okay, so then we get the reveal from Captain Mitchell that Ryan did not die. What happened was there was a car accident in which he wasn't paying attention to the goddamn road, and they just suddenly end up hanging off a cliff somehow. It's very stupid. And Ryan is slipping. Diabolico in a spirit form. They never explain how he was there, if he was supposed to be locked up in a chest at this point. But whatever. Says he will save Ryan if he gets to keep Ryan. He says no, but Ryan starts to slip and he tells him to save him, and it flies off. Apparently, this whole thing eventually just was wiped from her. It's not like she was unconscious. She was still there, but it just registered as he died. How did they get up off this route? I don't know. But, this leads into the arc with the feathers. Ryan realizes the truth and is no longer evil, but gives up the morpher. I want to point out that they never, fixed the problem with it being too powerful, and Ryan's just able to use it just fine. I also want to point out that, remember when I mentioned they're all picked for their special skills? Ryan's the only one who wasn't actually picked. He stole the morpher and then ends up becoming the Ranger. So there are now 3 powerful monster demons: Demon Knight, Thunderon, and Falcar. And I know this arc pretty well. Like I said, we had the VHS rip. They ripped it from my brother, but we both watched it because we both like Power Rangers. Ryan leaves. Is going to leave the city, but they threaten him with explosive feathers. Yes, that is a thing. And when Ryan realizes that he uses the morpher that was secretly given to him by his father to become the TM Ranger again. However, Diabolico is pissed off about this and curses him, giving him a cobra tattoo. Cobra tattoo. And no, not like G.I. Joe Cobra tattoo like the CM Punk has. Just a cobra on his back. And every time he morphs, it'll go closer and closer until it gets to his heart. And why is it on his back? If that's the case, I didn't get your heart from the back. You can stab him in the back and get to your heart. But still, I don't know. And this causes an issue as he gets weaker every time he morphs, but he won't tell anyone. He does tell Carter, and his dad is also there to hear it, and he forbids him from using the power. But the monsters are too strong because they're still fighting those three monsters. So Miss Beverly creates a new Zord, but it's for Ryan. Ryan uses the Zord against better judgment, but he's too weak. He later then goes to a temple. Yeah. No. Yeah. He goes to a temple after Diabolico fuses the three demons together, brings them all back, and fuses them together to make the Troika monster. The Troika monster is what it is. I don't know. It sounds weird to me. And they fight, but they're too strong. Ryan is able to go to the temple and get his powers back. They fight the thing, and they also destroy Diabolical. But his star power goes to Impus, who then evolves. Boom, bum, boom, bum, boom, bum, 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 bum. Your Impus has evolved into an Olympius. Yes, he's the new 5-star general. Yeah, he's got wings. And yeah, and he is super powerful. But yes. And then we get the reveal. After that arc, we get the reveal when all the Rangers are on a... they're on a day off except for Carter, who is training, and Captain Mitchell joins him, and they sort of bond. But then there is a fire, which Carter goes through to save with Captain Mitchell. And it's during this that Carter comes to the realization that Captain Mitchell was the firefighter that saved him when he was a kid. Kind of convenient, but it works. And I do like the scene. It was you, wasn't it? You were the firefighter that saved me when I was a kid. Yes, Carter. It wasn't me. He doesn't turn it... He's facing the other direction when he says, but yeah. Then the demons perform a ritual to bring Queen Banshira? Queen Shakira. Didn't go bad. No. Banshira back. It works. The Rangers stopped them from doing it, but she comes back, but not fully. This is where Ryan leaves because they can't afford to film any more footage. So he leaves the Aqua base to go after the Queen, and promises Danny he could return. So, yeah. Then they get the Omega Zords, because you gotta have more than one Megazord now. Space did it. Last one didn't. They got new Zords, but it wasn't like it was an, let's see. Oh, I didn't know that. The episode The Fifth Crystal was dedicated to Robert L. Manahan, who died on June 30th, 2000. He was the voice of Zordon, member from Power Rangers Through in Space. I didn't know he died. Let's see. Well, Yesterday Again's a good one. I'm about to talk about that one in its own episode. That's it's a Groundhog Day. Carter Repeats the Day. That one they played all the time in reruns. They eventually had a show called Power Rangers Power Playback. I think it was during that Time Force era where they would play old episodes, and that played more than any of the other ones. Like anything that wasn't the current season, they would play it. But yeah, I want to get to the crossovers. Let's go. The Mega Battles. Ocean Blue. Trakina's Revenge. Here we go. I'm going to breeze through it. I will eventually go through this. But this is the crossover. The second, the official crossover. I still say Rangers of Two World count as an official crossover. Two different teams. But anyway, if you want to say technically between two different seasons worth of Power Rangers, whatever. Trakina has arrived on Earth. And she's working with demons for some reason. Because the Sentai footage needed them. I guess. I don't know. I will tell you, the actress who played... This episode was played with casting issues. Well, a couple of them. The actress who played Trakina is not the same actress who played her in Lost Galaxy. Because the actress was not given... She didn't think that the screen time she was getting in these two episodes was enough for the pay they were giving her. Which, I guess, was not that much. So... she didn't think the pay they were giving her was worth the screen time she was getting, I guess. I guess she had more screen time and she wanted more pay, I guess. Likewise, Danny Slavin also had issues. He's the one that plays Leo. He's barely in this episode because he walked off set. Yeah, because of pay issues. So he's barely in this episode. There was also an issue with Forever Red where he wasn't going to do it. Then he does. Then he decided he did want to do it, which results in him being green screened in. And you can tell. I didn't notice it until someone pointed out, and now you cannot see that. You just can't not see that he's green screened in. When everyone's on the moon, that's why he arrives late. And when they're all on the moon, you can tell he's green screened at the end of the Red Rangers. Anyway, Trakina's plan is she wants her green form back. So she's capturing people to make that happen. And she happens to capture the parents of a little girl who, and this is an issue, I mentioned it earlier, tells the lady at the front desk of this office building that monsters kidnap her parents. And the lady says, monsters aren't real. What? 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 Monsters aren't real. Lady, forget about the rest of this series. In this season, there have been monsters plaguing this. But she does find someone who believes her. Garter, who tries to figure it out. Eventually, Leo makes his way to Earth, promptly flanked by Chad and Kai and Maya. Chad is in... Okay, that's why I couldn't get it. Kai and Maya. Because Chad is in this. Flanked by Kai and Maya, who show up. So they save the little girl. And then, eventually the other two show up. And then the little girl wants to come with. And then they have to sneak back into the office building. So their plan is to have the little girl pull the fire alarm so they can sneak in as firefighters. What? Do you remember what I mentioned at the beginning of this season? They're public rangers. That means they don't need... Did I not mention that? They're public rangers. They're in the public highlight. They don't have secret identities here. They're run by the government, essentially. So, yeah, they're public. They morph in public. They fought monsters in public. So why can't they just go in there and say, hey, we're the Power Rangers, we need you to clear this office building? The only thing I can think of is using the fire alarm as a bit of a distraction, and they can sneak in as firefighters as to not make Trakrina aware that the Rangers are there. Except when the demons know that Carter's a firefighter and he might actually be one of them. I don't know. But eventually they team up, they destroy it, and at the end, and yeah, it's fine. Eventually I want to go through it, bit by bit. It's fine. It's not as good as the last one. That had 3 different parts. This is 2 parts, and it still doesn't feel like it lived up. It's fine for what you wanted, Yeah. And then, what else? Eventually, Diabolical was brought back at some point. I don't remember when. I don't see where Diabolical comes back, but he comes back at some point because he's back. I'm guessing when his... No, I don't know. He comes back, but he's a bit different as he starts to disobey the Queen, who at this point has a different form. To the point that she tells him to fire a weapon at Loki, which will destroy the Rangers. But he refused because Loki is his friend. Yeah, so she does it and destroys him. And then takes his star power. And, yeah. I forgot to mention that Carter gets trans armor cycle, and eventually it becomes his battleizer. And I think it looks better than Leo's because of this big bulky thing on his shoulders, but it's just, I don't know, it looks weird. It's got little skates, which should be Kelsey's, but whatever. But, yeah, okay, that was before the Loki is destroyed. So then Olympus captures and enslaves Diabolico, and they brainwash him to work the new Life Force Megazord, put together of all the Megazords, I think, or maybe just the Omega Megazord and the whatever Ryan's Megazord, which destroys both demons, and feeds off their life energy to destroy the demons, and I think it was light energy, I don't know. But Jinx replaces a Battling card on the Life Force Megazord. What's a Battling? The Battlings are the foot soldiers here. The putties, so to speak. Sorry. Booger's playing peekaboo with my nose. Almost done. We get the fate of Lightspeed, which is oddly familiar. Tell me if this sounds familiar. The putty-like creatures, this time the Battlings, break into the base and start to destroy it from within. Yeah, that's Turbo. They then take control of the Life Force Megazord and start destroying stuff, and then start to place these towers around Mariner Bay as a way to ceremony brings the Skull Cavern Mariner Bay, where the ceremony will take place. Some kind of ceremony. You're a full power or something. But they have to destroy their own Megazord, which is tough. The other ones were already destroyed. They have to destroy their own Megazord, and then the base explodes. Everyone sneaks out in a submarine, and Carter and Ryan ram the because what happens is Carter leaves to go help Ryan, and then the base is invaded by the Batlings. So everyone else is kind of powerless. The leader is gone. And then he saves Ryan, and Carter and Ryan ram the mobile armor vehicle into the Omega Megazord, destroying it. Which was that easy. They destroy the Megazord outside the base with missiles from torpedoes from a submarine, and it's like, why'd you make it that easy to destroy? I don't know. Fought demons and then missiles destroyed. I don't know. And there's a battle in the underworld in which Carter kicks Queen Bansheera into the Skull Cavern's tomb. He gives a thumbs up like, Leo, but uh-oh. Bye-bye. He tells them to lock him inside, shutting it into the key that Ryan had that he got from the Freedom Fighters or whatever. Was the Freedom Fighters thing in space? I don't know. I think that's what it was. But there was the tomb or whatever he went to. I think I mixed up him and Zane. But anyway. But he's able to get him free. It crumbles. And now demons are gone and they're safe. Well, actually he has help from Diabolico, which is not mentioned here. I forgot about that. I do like when she's like, Diabolico, help. He cuts the vines and let her drop to her death, which makes it crumble. Yeah. And they're all free. And Troll gets to stay with Miss Fairweather. And just when you think it's over, they see a fire truck race into the distance. They've given their morphers back at this point. And they're like, we gotta go help. Including Joel was like, oh, come on. They all run off. And then one of my favorite endings where the captain's like, hey, don't you need these? And they're just dun, 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 freeze frame. I say it's a pretty good season. I don't think it's on par with the last two, but it's still good. I think maybe the crossover kind of brings it down. Like, you have public rangers, and yet you have to, for the plot purposes, they can't believe that there's monsters, even though they should. And for plot purposes, they can't just march in, say the Rangers, and everyone get out. Even if it's hard for them to believe that the Rangers, just morph and run in and say, it's the Power Rangers, everybody get out of the building. But no. The Titanium Ranger was cool. It was the first Sixth Ranger since the Tommy, where I was like, maybe the Red Rangers are not my favorite this season. Just the design of him is pretty cool. He's got a V on his face, which is weird because he's the Sixth Ranger, but whatever. But it was pretty cool. The unfortunate of him being an American exclusive makes him less available during this season, which I always thought was, a bit of a bummer. I forgot to mention in the crossover episode, both sets of Zords show up, and the Lightspeed Megazord, or was it the Omega Megazord, whatever one it was, gets to use the Lights of Orion. You know how much I love them. Stupid Lights of Orion. But yeah, I think it was a fun season. I have fond memories with it being my brother's first season. He really got into it with Time Force, which was similar to my son's experience, where it was like, I was kind of starting to get him into it with Super Mega Force, but Dino Charge was his season. He had toys, he had Megazords, he was all in. Energem, he had the Energem, we put it in a thing, which is cool because it means we both got into Power Rangers during a season with dinosaurs, which is kind of cool. So, yeah. So what are your thoughts on Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue? Let me know something. You should like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.